Hey guys, how are we going? Thanks, Roscoe, for leaving a note there. Let us know who's online. Got a fairly small number of articles tonight. Plenty of time for discussion if anyone's got any points they'd like to make or questions. Hey Kev, good to see you here. You all settling in down there? Are you looking forward to your Tesla vehicle? Exciting to see you getting it so quickly. All right, start getting into some of the articles. Yeah, it's a big move. Share. Definitely have to get you to come on and give us a report on how it all went, how the pickup experience was. Okay, so we'll go through some of the latest information on software updates. So 2024.26 branch continues to roll out. Now over 60% of vehicles are on that branch, but they're already preparing the next major branch, which is 2024.32. So that'll start being tested. That's obviously out and being tested with employee vehicles now, and we should see that one start to roll out. I don't know what's new on that one. Haven't been able to get any information on what's coming, but hopefully it'll be some new stuff for us, or at least catching up with some of the American stuff, like the more improvements to the headlights, the auto park, and that kind of stuff. I'm hoping will come out soon. There's also a 2024.26.8 being tested, which may be some tweaks to 26.7. Unlikely to contain anything major that's new, given that 2024.32 is already being tested. So for those in the US or Canada with FSD, there's version 2024.26.15 with FSD version 12.5.1.4, and those are for the hardware 4 vehicles, and 2024.26.20 with FSD 12.5.1.5, which finally brings the latest versions of FSD to the hardware 3 vehicles. They had a short period of time there with the added perimeter count that they had to do some tweaking and optimization to make it work on hardware 3. So the early reports from experienced testers that have got both hardware 3 and hardware 4 vehicles all say that you virtually can't notice any difference. So if they didn't know what it was, they wouldn't be able to tell you whether it was a hardware 3 or hardware 4 build, which is very good to see. Obviously, the optimizations have worked well, and both sets of hardware are working fine. Some did comment that there was slightly less smooth stops on some of the hardware 3 builds, but overall it seemed like everyone was very happy with it. There's actually been a community tracker set up for the FSD testers, which is recording statistics directly from those users, and it's all verified and obviously separate from Tesla, so it's a community effort. And the results so far have been extremely positive. They're reporting a 14x improvement between 12.3.6 and 12.513, and obviously the newer ones are even better. This month alone, they've observed a 1.4 times overall improvement and a 2 times safety improvement in the 12.5 versions just in this month. So the pace of improvements are definitely increasing. With all the extra compute they've now added, they're investing billions of dollars in making these FSD versions progress a lot faster than they have ever before. So it'll be very interesting to see on the 10th of October when they do that Robotaxi release. What happens there? Question from Kev there. As far as FSD, no. I suspect it'll come out to China first, which is, I think, imminent. That may be part of the 10th of the 10th news. Being right-hand drive, I suspect they're going to hold off a little bit longer. But that's only guesswork. I don't have any firm information there. It was interesting, actually. They released a package in the US where if you've bought FSD, you get you pay, I think it's $2,000 US from memory, and you get 3 years of enhanced, not enhanced, like 3 years of premium connectivity and 3 years unlimited supercharging, which is a fantastic deal. I hope they bring something like that out over here. That would really be cool. But currently that's in the US only. For all these version numbers, which are getting quite long and tongue twisting, just for anyone interested in how that all works. So obviously the first major version number, the 2024.26, for example, the 2024 is obviously a year, and the second number is the week number that it was completed and went into testing. So 2024.32 means it was released in the 32nd week of 2024. That's when it goes into internal testing. So that version that's now been seen being tested externally was completed about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And the next number is that point release. Not all those releases will go out to the public, so there may be a number of internal point releases that don't progress past internal testing. For example, we went from 2024.26.1 straight to 2024.26.3 for the public. So point 2 would have been an internal build that was improved on internally and released in the next version was released rather than that one. Oftentimes, they'll have 2 or 3 different versions being tested and improved on at the same time, and even 2 or 3 versions being released. So it's a lot of A/B testing in a lot of cases. It's interesting. The other point of interest is there's quite often, but not always, when you get the vehicle delivered, it'll have a .100 or .200 version number. That's basically a factory build version. So it's the most recent fully stable build. So they'll pick the most stable builds and use those for the factory. And they're often several weeks behind the current version. Depending on the time it takes to get shipped, though, so you might, if you're in the States where you're getting the vehicle shipped out from the factory and being, in the customer's hands within a week or two, you might have to wait, a few weeks to get the latest version. For Australia, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, due to the time it takes to get the vehicle out here, we're looking at a 4 to 5 week, 6 week, often even more time frame from when it leaves the Shanghai factory to when it arrives here. So quite often we normally get an update on the vehicle before we actually receive it. So you might not see those 100s and 200s in Australia as often, but overseas where they're closer to the factory and not having the shipping time, they quite often will have those builds. Next one's something that thanks Kev, sent through to us. It's another example of the safety features in the Tesla. In this case here, it's an Australian video that he found, and it's we'll play it through and have a look at what happens here. So you had the green light. The first couple of cars went through pretty quickly. That would have been pretty red when they went through, I'd say. Yeah, definitely red. And then he's gone through and another one's come flying through. And luckily the Tesla's seen it and stopped the car and saved someone's life there probably, because that was pretty fast that they were moving. Thanks for that, Kev. Cybertruck news. So we did have originally that Cybertruck was going to go to Adelaide next. It did go through Adelaide. So here it is actually travelling through Adelaide in this picture here. But it's actually continued on to Perth. So there's an opening over in Perth of the new Tesla factory at the end of the month. So I believe they're shipping it straight to Perth to get that Cybertruck there as part of that opening. And then hopefully it'll come back to Adelaide. So here it is in Western Australia. Those are the two, they're called, name slip, the charity slip my mind at the moment. They're doing the Round Australia, the Geelong EV Tour, Variety Club, that's it, sorry. They happened to run into the Cybertruck as it went through Western Australia. So it's probably in Perth by now, and stay tuned. You might see it pop up, but I know next week, I think it is the opening of the new centre there, and I suspect it'll be there. Hey, Hal. Yeah, only one. It is spending a lot of time here, though, so it's definitely getting around the place. It would have been good to see some more. It'd be good to see them being sold out here, but maybe eventually we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully, Kev, you might get it coming back to Adelaide and the way back through to Queensland. So on to a bit of supercharger news. This is Glenelg, South Australia. Another one for you, Kev. Geez, you have it's all your news tonight. So looks like it is 6 stalls, which was what originally was thought. Somebody thought there were 8, but going by this photo, I haven't had any confirmation. Looks like 6 stalls. So that's good to see. That's thanks to Chadwick AU on the Tesla Motor Club forums for the photo. Another new one that's actually slipped all the way through. No one saw this one in construction. It's just popped up in Woolworths DY, a little 4-stall version 3 site. But yeah, it's great to see some of these just slip right through and no one even notices they're being built. And Tesla shared a photo of the Yass site that's now being upgraded to version 4 charging stands. Even though it was pretty close to me, I've never had a chance to check it out. It's probably too close, really, because if I'm going down to Melbourne Way, I normally go to Albury for my first charging stop, so I probably wouldn't be much point charging at Yass, but it's a nice little facility there. Good number of stalls. And yes, indeed, yeah, SA is getting a lot of love. It's good to see. Hopefully we'll see Tas. I know there's a lot of calls there for Tasmania to get some more, or get the more than one charging site, or at least as far as Tesla goes. They really need at least 1 or 2 more, so hopefully we'll see Tasmania get some love soon. The Tesla Megapack factory in Shanghai is coming along well. This is only a artist's impression of the final product, but they're almost 50% through production and well ahead of schedule. You always hear a lot in the media and by the Tesla haters or EV haters in general about broken promises, especially surrounding things like FSD and things that really can't be predicted. But no one really notices when things are ahead of schedule. For example, Model Y was 6 months early. Giga Shanghai was well ahead of schedule, and now the Megapack factory in Shanghai is well ahead of schedule. And most of these things were, a lot of the experts or so-called experts said were going to be impossible, but they not only met the deadline, they came in well ahead of the deadline. This factory is going to be huge as far as Tesla goes and profitability. Megapack demand is massive, and there's huge wait lines for the current Megapacks that are coming out of Nevada, and the profit margins on these are massively higher than vehicles too. Now, I think this factory will be producing Powerwalls as well, not confirmed, but if it will, that'll be great for our region, and hopefully see the prices of Powerwall 3s come down as they scale. The outputs of these factories in Shanghai have been really amazing, so it could really be a big thing. Yeah, that's right. The semi factory is definitely gathering pace as well. And yeah, I've got a news report coming up on the semi, which is not so good, but I definitely am keen to see those come out on the roads and hopefully make their way down here as well. I know they're starting to look at bringing them to Europe, so definitely a massive thing as well. It's not going to be obviously a massive earner for Tesla compared to other areas, but it all helps. So some more news, and it's funny. It's funny when you look at how the media reports them. Is some of these things. There was what's actually happened is the EU's granted Tesla the lowest import duties of all the Chinese manufacturers or the Chinese origin vehicles. So they've gone to a 9% tariff. They were at about 20% previously, I believe, as opposed to the 30% that some of the German brands and even German brands that are building in China are being hit with. The rates are determined based on the proportions of Chinese source components and Chinese ownership and subsidies. Most companies, as I've probably talked about previously, in China have to partner with a Chinese company in order to have a factory in China. Tesla's the only one that I'm aware of. I know up till recently that they were the only one. I assume they still are the only company that's been able to build a factory in China without having to have that Chinese ownership, which is basically a CCP, owned business normally. So yeah, some newspapers or media outlets have, Tesla hit with 9% tariff and all sort of stuff, and trying to make it to a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. There's some of the duty rates that are being hit. So BYD's got a 17%, up to 36.3 is the highest one there. It's crazy. So yeah, depending on how their ownership structure is, what sort of subsidies they're getting. Again, that's another example with all the so-called experts said that there's no way Tesla would get any special deal with China, and they did. So it's testament they are able to negotiate such an amazing deal. Nothing against Chinese, as I've said almost every week. They're leading the way in a lot of areas, and they've played the smart game and invested very heavily in promoting EV manufacture in their country. And the fact that we now go over 50% EV production, it's that's huge. It's a shame that the Australian and US and other countries haven't seen the writing on the wall and got in there and done it. All right, so not such a good news article in regards to the Tesla semi. The first semi crash actually resulted in a fire. The cause of the crash isn't known. However, it was a single vehicle accident where it left the highway and crashed into a ditch. I don't think the semi has autopilot. I know they don't have FSD. So whether it was fatigue related or something like that, these sorts of accidents when they, single vehicle leaving the highway, quite often is fatigue related. So it's a shame if it's something silly like autopilot could have helped save that accident. I don't believe the driver was hurt. Don't know for sure. Haven't seen much more reporting come out of it other than the fact that it was a fire, and a pretty big one, obviously, with the sort of batteries that these things have got. Other fire related, we talked about last week about South Korea, and they have, as we talked about, really started tightening regulations. There was apparently the Mercedes incident was last week we talked about. There was also apparently a Kia incident that they blamed on the battery as well, not too long ago. So they've come up now with guidelines saying that EVs can't park in underground parking garages if they're over 90% charged. And they're pushing ahead with that regulation I discussed last week to try and mandate that manufacturers have to disclose battery sources. It's a shame. We know that EVs don't catch fire anywhere near as often as ICE vehicles. We know that Tesla vehicles are even less likely than any other EV, but it's an own goal in the fact that we've got an EV vehicle that for some reason they've chosen to go for a no-name Chinese brand rather than a decent brand, which on a budget car, you could accept, but on a Mercedes EQE, which is a extremely expensive vehicle for what you get, I mean, that's really poor on Mercedes-Benz part, I think, to throw a battery like that in there, and it's just going to, like you say, it's going to cause a lot of FUD. It's really disappointing, and unfortunately, it's not going to hurt Mercedes-Benz. Actually, it's probably going to help them because they're in no hurry to have more EVs being, the uptake of the EVs increasing because of the fact that they, lose money on EVs and they want to sell their petrol vehicles more than their EVs. So it's not going to hurt them, but it's going to hurt the uptake of EVs quite a bit. So really, hope they get their act together. And rather than cracking down on all EVs, they really need to start evaluating these EV manufacturers and forcing them to disclose their battery source is definitely a good thing. And hopefully they can start, rating these batteries and looking at the actual performance of them and the ones that have got all the extra safety features and the track records should not be treated the same as the cheaper ones that might be coming out as we move forward. Yeah, absolutely. And the sprinkler systems are required even more for ICE vehicles because they're much more likely to catch fire. And we've seen the devastation that ICE vehicles do in car parks. And even with this one incident now we've had where a significant number of vehicles were damaged by an EV, we know that there's been a lot more from ICE vehicles. So those fires run away just as much, and it's just as hard to put out. And they really need to look at fire safety overall. This one that Hell sent through. Hell gave us the tip last week about the Brisbane Metro BEV. They're called trackless trams. I guess you could also call them long buses, articulated buses, but they look great. Fully BEV, so no fumes, no noise, and they've got a lot of solar in their system there that goes into the charging as far as from their depot. So it's really great to see. It's the kind of thing that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does. But if you look at some of those fires, the Luton Airport is probably the biggest and most recent example I can think of. When you get a runaway petrol fire, that it does get into everything. That destroyed a whole car park. Actually, completely destroyed the car park as well as all the cars in the car park. So, the temperatures when you get enough of those cars all burning up together is definitely not to be sneezed at. And certainly as fire departments get better at putting these out and get more training and education, that'll help things. But they obviously got a lot more experience putting out ice fires. But even then, we've seen a number of these car parks now where they've just not been able to put it out. It's just that the whole car park's basically burnt to the ground, including the parking structure itself. So that's I think it's a general problem, not just an EV problem or a ICE problem. EV International Car Show, we spoke about this last week. Unfortunately, I won't make it because I am going to be in Brisbane that weekend. But it should be a really good one with all these new vehicles coming out. I'm sure they'll have a lot of them there, and some of the future ones as well. If anyone manages to make it, please make sure to share some pictures, and I'd love to get, even if you want to come on and have a chat and talk about what you saw, that'd be great. But unfortunately, I won't make that one. So yeah, it was a pretty a bit quieter week this week. That's the main things I had. Certainly, things are happening, but there wasn't that many news articles that I could bring up. One thing I've noticed with YouTube, and I'm interested if you guys have as well, I've noticed a lot of the subscriptions I have seem to drop off. People I know I've been subscribed to for quite a while, and all of a sudden I'm not subscribed to them anymore. I know a few other people have mentioned the same sort of thing. So just a public service announcement, I guess, to say check your channels that you think you're subscribed to, especially this one, and make sure you are still subscribed, because YouTube seems to be dropping people off. I had a couple of car channels that I definitely know I have been subscribed to for some time, and all of a sudden I've gone searching for them because I haven't seen anything for a while, and all of a sudden I'm not subscribed anymore, which is not real good. But certainly appreciate the support you guys give, and if you're watching this from replay as well, make sure to get that thumbs up. Help this channel grow. It's greatly appreciated. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, but it definitely helps and helps get the message out there, especially regarding EVs. Hey, Sensei, good to see you. Anyone got any other comments on those news articles or any other bits and pieces I might have missed out on? I saw Tom's video, Ludicrous Feed, with the test drive of the Spectre. Very jealous. Great video if you want to check it out. It's a amazing vehicle. Got the price tag to match, but that would be a very nice vehicle to be driven around in. If you can afford the vehicle, you can afford a driver, right? Yeah, Zurich Insurance, we spoke about a few weeks back when Tesla announced that they were doing that. Are you getting an update on Zurich? Definitely been some mixed results as far as the pricings go. Mine was pretty much the same as what I'm getting now, but some other people have reported that they're getting, the $4,000, $5,000 quotes, which is just ridiculous. But I find that's common in the insurance industry. They seem to have their very, narrow target audience, and if you're outside that, they'll give you these, ridiculous quotes of, several $1,000s. That's just to try and make you go somewhere else. Interesting. So is it yearly only, or is it? Have you checked with them to see if it's an error or something like that, or? Hey, Sensei, yeah, we just covered that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm going to be in Brisbane that weekend, but definitely, if you guys make it, love to see some photos. If you can share some photos, or if you want to come on chat and talk about your experience there, that'd be fantastic. Come on video, or just even audio if that suits you better. But unfortunately, I'm not going to make it, which I'm disappointed in. It's been great to catch up with everybody, but hopefully next year. Good. Okay. Well, hopefully they fix the issue. If it's supposed to be available as a monthly subscription, let us know if you're getting it back. right then, if no one else has got any other questions or any other bits of news, we'll make it another quick one, and hopefully next week we'll have a bit more news to go through and a bit more, hopefully some more EV developments. Thanks for watching. As I said, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Check you are subscribed still. It's one of those things that I've just realised in the last couple of weeks that's been happening. Yeah, go Kev, yeah. Thanks, Al. Okay, enhanced autopilot. I've got the full FSD package, so I've got to try and think what's part of what now. But I know for certain it is the auto lane change. I think the auto park and summon are all part of enhanced autopilot. I'm not sure if basic summon may be part of standard autopilot, but I know that the summon doesn't work currently and the auto park doesn't work currently on the new hardware for vehicles. Hopefully that'll come out soon. That has been released in the US. That's one of the things I'm hoping one of the next versions will bring out to Australia. But they are part of the enhanced autopilot package. I think the only real difference at the moment with FSD in Australia is you get the navigate on autopilot, which only works on highway interchanges and that kind of thing anyway. So it's not really that useful. It should cover them on the Tesla website, but I'm pretty certain that's pretty close to the to how it is. I definitely do find it good with the auto lane change. I generally set it so that I have to confirm it, so it suggests the lane change, not confirm it. Otherwise, it does a lot of unnecessary ones. But yeah, especially on a long trip, the Brisbane to Sydney's, Brisbane to Melbourne, Melbourne to Adelaide, having autopilot on and just being able to keep it on without having to turn it up every time you change lanes, that kind of stuff, is fantastic. Yeah, it has been supported in the US. For some reason, they haven't released that in Australia yet. But I was told it's nothing to do with FSD. It may be a regulator thing that they have to get that approved for use without the ultrasonic sensors. But I've been told it was coming very soon, but that was quite a while ago. So who knows? It could be any time now. Hopefully one of these new versions, maybe even not 3.2, will have it. Anyhow, thanks again. Thanks for you guys supporting the channel. Really, really appreciate it. And until next time, drive safe, and we'll see you next week.